everything you need to know about Highlands Ranch right here. Hey, we're doing part 2 of our Highlands Ranch walkthrough video series today. So glad you're with us. It's Alyson Wahl with Live South Denver, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. We are going to be talking about the heart of Highlands Ranch today. If you missed the first video, you can check that out here. I will also be linking everything at the end of the video as well to get everyone caught up and on the same page. There are 3 zip codes in Highlands Ranch: 80126, 80129, and 80130. They are not oriented numerically, but today we are starting with 80126. You can see on this map kind of how they're laid out, with 80129 being on the west edge, 80126 being right in the heart, and 80130 being over on the east edge. Let's start off by talking about all the amenities and perks and things that are in 80126 that make living here great. 80126 has its own version of a town center. We don't call it the town center, but before the town center that's over in 80129 was built, this really was the hub of Highlands Ranch. The Whole Foods is here, so that makes it a very popular hub here in Highlands Ranch. In addition to the Whole Foods, you've got plenty of restaurants, and then there is a TJ Maxx, we've got an Ace Hardware, lots of other shopping and dining opportunities, a very large grocery store at that major intersection. At one of the other corners, we currently have a Choose Fitness. I never know how long a gym is gonna stay in place, so if you're watching this video 3 years from now, check it out and see if that is still there. Just a couple hundred feet east of the Whole Foods is the East Ridge Rec Center. And while we don't call any part of 80126 East Ridge, that is where the East Ridge Rec Center sits. This zip is also home to the North Ridge Rec Center. And while we're talking about sports and sporting amenities, the South Suburban Sports Complex is also in the 80126 zip code. It is not run or maintained by Highlands Ranch. It is actually maintained by the South Suburban Parks and Rec District, which is part of like Littleton and Centennial and a whole different Parks and Rec district, but it does sit right inside this zip code. But I bring it up because this sports complex is home to some hockey ice. And that is not the easiest thing to find across the Denver metro. There are probably 4, maybe 5, I will say 4 good places, and they're pretty spread out. So if you have a hockey player, this is key to know. Also right here in 80126 is the Highlands Ranch Mansion. They do sometimes host events open to the public. The grounds can be walked. They have beautiful gardens. They are also known for hosting private events like weddings. Highlands Ranch Mansion is kind of ground zero for the history of Highlands Ranch. Okay, let's jump into talking about houses now. There are a decent amount of townhome options over in this part of Highlands Ranch. I'm just gonna list these off, and then as we go through our map tour, I'll point out where a couple of these are located. The townhome neighborhoods over here include Bradford Hills, Canyon Ranch, Coventry Ridge, Highland Walk, Remington Bluffs, Stony Bridge Villa, Sugar Mill, and Tresana. We're gonna start our tour of 80126 pretty much where we left off on the last tour. We're gonna start over on Broadway. We're starting with North Ridge. North Ridge is the OG, the original part of Highlands Ranch. It's where the majority of construction started from, where Highlands Ranch sprang up from. You may be able to see in the map that there's a lot of open space in here. There are some good parks in this area. The North Ridge Rec Center is over here, just a little bit down Broadway. I've talked about North Ridge in some other videos. You'll be able to find those in the Highlands Ranch playlist if you want to learn more about the area. One of the things I will say, you can get a great house. You generally get a little bit lower price point on the whole compared to other parts of Highlands Ranch. That has to do with the fact that these are often older homes. Highlands Ranch has celebrated its 40th birthday. So that means some of these homes were built in the 80s. If we trace along Dad Clark Road, which is the north edge of North Ridge, we'll pass by the Bradford Hills townhome neighborhood, and then it will take us over to University and introduce us to Stratton Ridge. This is a neighborhood that I love. Now, these homes are older too, generally in the 90s, leaning more toward mid to late 90s. What I really love about Stratton Ridge is that most of these homes are built on streets in a terrace setting. So you'll have one row of homes here, another row of homes here, another row of homes here, and they're all facing west with mountain views. So it's really designed for everyone to have a beautiful home no neighbors behind you that you really feel, and everyone's oriented toward the beautiful mountain views that Highlands Ranch offers. Some of the homes have been updated, some of the homes haven't. So if you're not looking for a project, it might be like finding a needle in a haystack over here. If you're open to a project, you have a lot more opportunity. All right, we're coming farther down University to the Veniford Ranch Road neighborhoods. There are several different neighborhoods down this road. I just love this area too. So first we're gonna look at the neighborhoods over here. I have a friend who lives over in this section. These homes were built by Sanford Homes. They were bought out years ago, so they're no longer a builder here, but their floor plans have been very popular. They are the dominant builder in another extremely popular neighborhood in Centennial that I have also done videos on. So this little enclave is just a really lovely neighborhood. Now, same thing over here. Some of these homes have been redone, some of them have not. Our friend's home has not been redone. So the cabinets are kind of like your traditional 30-inch cabinet heights. Someone needs to come in, take out the header, maybe pop the ceiling up a little bit, redo things, open up the space, take out a wall to the formal dining space, kind of just reconfigure things. But the footprint is fantastic. The space is really good and big. The lots are generally larger over here too, and it was a good builder. So just structure-wise, good homes. All right, now taking Veniford through this larger section of the neighborhood, we get into Timberline Ridge. Again, I've done a video on this neighborhood as well. One of the perks of Timberline Ridge is you have your own pool. So if you're not wanting to hop in the car and pack up all the floaties and the bag and all of those things to head over to the rec center, you've got one in your neighborhood. The other perk of that is usually you have a chance to meet neighbors, build friendships, have the kids play with someone in the neighborhood. You kind of get more of that neighborhood feel. There are often food trucks and events. So I think that adds a layer of community when you have that opportunity where you live. There are some other great neighborhoods down here in this lower section of Veniford Ranch. And then when you cross over Highlands Ranch Parkway, down on this part of Veniford into Winterbrook, these are also very large, gorgeous homes. Mature trees, just really lovely area. The homes generally sell high 8s if they haven't been touched since they were built, up into the low 1 million mark if we've got a really well cared for, remodeled home, great landscaping. Lest I forget, we have passed a lot of parks and open space along the way just as we've gone down this Veniford Ranch Road area. 80126 is home to nearly half of the parks that Highlands Ranch maintains, so they get more than their fair share of open space and parks. Access to getting out to trails, seeing those gorgeous mountain views on a walk is not at all a challenge over here. All right, we're gonna drop down and follow this road down and end up in Kentley Hills. Kentley Hills delivers up more good-sized houses. And one of the things to know about this kind of stretch in here is that some of these homes have a little bit of elevation over everyone else. So it is possible you could get some nice mountain views. There are certain spots all throughout Highlands Ranch where you catch a little edge over your neighbors and just really luck out with some amazing, amazing views. Also, as you can see, there is a lot of open space in here, just this middle part of Highlands Ranch, an abundance of open space. One of the things I will say about Kentley Hills, I have seen some homes listed in here that have just sat. Why? Because a neighbor one street over, a couple doors down, has sold their house at just an amazing price. Well, what happens is the home that sold for an amazing price has been well kept, updated, a lovely yard, just like we were talking about over on the Winterbrook streets. And the neighbor who's then selling theirs maybe hasn't kept up their home in the same way. I'm not saying they treated it poorly. It just hasn't been updated maybe in 15, 20 years since it was purchased. Well, those two do not sell for the same price. Even the landscaping makes a difference. Even if a new driveway is put in, a new garage door. You and I, as buyers, both know, but sellers get very attached to their homes sometimes. So as is true in all of Highlands Ranch, there's a Highlands Ranch premium, but the real premiums come when the work has already been done and the home is well updated. I want to pop you over to this shopping center over here. We've got a King Soopers, we've got a Starbucks, and this is where Highland Walk is. I mentioned this one as a townhome community. They do also have like patio and cluster style homes, really well designed. They have held up so well over the course of time. They're 15 to 18, 19 years old, they still look wonderful inside. The HOAs are going to be higher on these just because of the snow removal and the full maintenance that is done through the HOA. But you've got some walkability, right? Because your grocery store is right there. You got a Starbucks right there. Lovely little area. When we leave there and we head west on Wildcat Reserve, we get quickly to Firelight. So there are two parts of Firelight. There is Firelight and Finisterre at Firelight. Really, it's just two collections, right? One is a little more grand than the other. The Finisterre at Firelight collection is south of Poston, and Firelight in general is north of Poston. Poston is this larger street you can see that runs through the neighborhood that is south of Wildcat Reserve. I have some friends, they are clients, but they are now friends, who bought a home over in this area just a little over a year ago now. They have the most amazing views. I tell you, you wouldn't guess looking at their home that they are just that much farther above their neighbors, but they have about 270-degree views. It includes the city, the Denver Tech Center, the mountains. It is amazing. So there are really hidden gems dotted all throughout Highlands Ranch where you can have just about everything you want. When we leave Firelight and continue west, we go past one of the high schools. Now, I'm not naming each one of the high schools or other schools as we pass them going through these videos. Each one of the zip codes has at least one high school, but the thing is, there's open enrollment in Colorado. It's a Colorado law that you can request that your child be placed in a different school. If they'll get to go to that school depends on availability and space. But if you move into 80126 and you'd like your child to go to the school it's in 80130, they absolutely can. There are a couple of lovely neighborhoods to the north of the high school. Several of those are gated. These are large, beautiful homes. And then we get to the backcountry. It is so incredibly popular. Selling homes in there is not a difficult feat. So what makes it so popular? Well, I have done a video on it and that will tell you much of it. It has so much to do with the views. Shea Homes, which developed all of Highlands Ranch, carved that little area out for themselves and they developed most of the land in there. There are several other builders, including custom homes that have been built in there. But even when they packed in so many homes, there's over 4,000 homes in this area. For the most part, it doesn't feel that way. Right up at the front by the gates, it does feel a little bit tighter. But once you get back a little farther, the homes are oriented from each other differently than in most neighborhoods. It's not a grid system. The streets loop and swoop and swerve, so you often do not have a neighbor right behind you. You may have a backyard facing this way and another backyard coming in this way, but it's really not a traditional layout of a neighborhood. And it's so easy to catch a mountain view. If you don't have a mountain view from your backyard, you probably have one from your front yard or from your bedroom window. The other thing are the amenities. Clubhouse, the two pools, the events, the on-site activities coordinator, just so many things that offer a lifestyle within the community and the opportunity for people to connect and build friendships and a safe place for their kids to play and make friends, as well as the private open space for hiking and walking that leads on to the public open space beyond that. It really is a fantastic community. HOAs, not cheap. When you add in the affordable Highlands Ranch HOAs on top of the backcountry HOAs, you're at roughly $5,000 a year right now. When we leave the backcountry and head north on Broadway, we pass by what I call the mansion neighborhoods. We've got Mansion Place and Mansion Hills. They sit just east of the Highlands Ranch mansion. Lovely homes in here, of course. And for most of these, the streets are laid out with one major loop with several offshooting streets, which means you've got lots of cul-de-sacs and the opportunity not to have neighbors too terribly close behind you. There are a lot of named neighborhoods in this zip code, and we certainly didn't get a chance to name all of them, but just as I mentioned in the previous video, you're not going to get your best results if you search by a specific neighborhood in Highlands Ranch. So you definitely want to be searching by zip code, by a map, or talk to an agent and have them pick your desired areas and drill down to something that meets your needs so that you're not missing something that you really love. All right, stats for 80126. The average price of homes for the last 90 days was $882,000. That number is going to land higher than the neighboring zip codes, and that is thanks to the solid number of gated communities that fall into 80126. The price range was $486,000, so wow, low, right? And the high end for the last 90 days was $3.86 million. Now, when we dig into those last 3 years of sales for these other stats, here's what we find. 14% of the homes that have sold were bi-level, split-level, multi-level. Just 7% of them were a ranch-style home. And that leaves us with 79% of them being two-story homes. The median lot size over here is 7,500 square feet, so not too shabby. Median home size, total square foot, we talked about this. This means basement included, whether it's finished or not, 3,325 square feet. So why are the lots and home sizes larger over here? Again, it's because of those large gated communities. The homes are large in there, so it pulls up the median lot and home sizes. We're talking about neighborhoods like Backcountry, Falcon Hills, Highwoods. And then there's communities that aren't gated with larger homes too, like Hillcrest and Stratton Ridge. The median age of homes over here is 1996 to 1997. As I shared in the previous video, that holds true across the entire area for Highlands Ranch. The Backcountry and a neighborhood called The Spaces have homes that have been built since 2010. Those would be the newer neighborhoods in the area. Spaces was finished in about 2014, and Backcountry is just finishing up its last custom homes. If you need to catch up on video number 1, you can do that right here. And if you want to know more about Highlands Ranch in general, these videos might also help you. And as always, you know I love to connect with you. Please reach out if I can help with your move in or around Highlands Ranch in any way possible. And I will see y'all next week.